Hello, thank you for joining me. I've got a little project for you. I've been all over Pinterest looking for some inspiration, and I've got this one first. This is something I did because I've never used embossing folders before, ever. And a friend of mine, I was at her house crafting a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "Go on, come and have a go at some embossing." And so I did, and I absolutely love the effect that it gives. This is an old Stampin' Up embossing folder. Can you see that? And that's just formed an impression on the card. So I really like that, and I think quite possibly in my next Stampin' Up order I might put on there an embossing folder. And then what I did is using these stitched dies. I just then cut out a circle. It doesn't necessarily need to be a circle, could be a square, could be an oval. And then my stamping didn't go particularly well in that one, but I was only playing about with this. And then I also punched out some butterflies using the butterfly punch, and then just created that nice simple card with a simple sentiment. So then I just upped that a little bit and went again with a card base, no embossing on this one though, and I used the Perennial Essence DSP, and I just glued that on top of the card, leaving a bit of a border. Again, took the circle from the stitch dies, and using the coordinating ink, which is Blackberry Bliss, I then just put the sentiment in the middle. And because I absolutely adore butterflies, not the real variety, I hate real butterflies, but just then punched out some silver butterflies from some glimmer paper and just put those around the edge. I was going to put them all the way around the edge, but actually ended up being a bit too much. So I'm going to stick with that theme for my next card. And for my next card, I'm going to be using the Bird Ballad DSP. I just adore this. I think it's beautiful. I think it's the blue in this that I love. I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to, because I've got a bit more cardstock left over, because these cards, they are half a sheet of half a sheet of cardstock, A4 cardstock. So you can make 2 of these from 1 sheet of cardstock, and you could actually make 4 out of 1 sheet of DSP. So it doesn't use a lot, and there's just no faff going on with it. So there's my piece of cardstock, and this measures 11 and what does it measure? 11 3/4. It's A4. It's not 11. Yeah, 11 3/4. Sorry, by 4 1/8, and I'm just going to score it in the middle. Let me just get my scorer. So I'm just going to score that at 5 7/8, like that. So that's in the middle there. Now in a moment I'm going to be getting out my big shot, which is a little bit too big to get into the video shot, so it's going to look a bit strange in a second. But there is my card base, and I'm having that type of card. I don't often make cards that are like that, but I thought I'd do something different. So there is my Bird Ballad DSP, and I'm going to, now I need to be careful with this because I want to make sure that I've got birds actually on my card. So I want to be a little bit careful as to where I am, because if I just took that bit in the corner, then I'm going to lose that bird, but I've still got that bird. Maybe I just ought not to overthink it. I just cut out a piece of card. So this needs to be, I'm going to cut this 3 7/8 by, I've got that the wrong way round, 3 7/8 by 5 5/8, and that will give us a nice border all the way around our card. Really important when you're cutting up DSP. I've just made a huge mistake there. It can waste DSP, but now I'm limited. Now I can only use that waste DSP like that. But to make sure that you've got it in the right direction, and it's just a case of thinking before you cut, which you saw there, I didn't. So that's going to go on there like that. So I quite like this DSP with the Very Vanilla. I think it's a bit softer than if you use white. It's preference at the end of the day. There's no rules. When it comes to art and craft, there are no rules whatsoever. So I'm just going to just get some glue on the back of that. No glue in the middle because, well, yeah, you can put glue in the middle actually, because we're going to die cut it, but actually it doesn't matter if it's in the middle. So just put that on your cardstock, leaving a border all the way around, like that. Now I just want that to dry off a little bit before I put it through the die cutting machine. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to get some silver glimmer paper. I think the silver will work well with this DSP. And I'm going to cut out some butterflies. So I've got the butterfly punch, but I'm only going to use the smaller butterfly. And I'm just going to cut out 5. Punches are probably my favourite Stampin' Up product. They are very robust. I have to say you do need to be quite strong to use them. If you don't have particularly strong hands, you will struggle a little bit. So get somebody to do it for you. I've lost a butterfly. So 5 butterflies I need. But I have to say this glimmer paper is really quite strong. It's quite thick. Okay, so there's 5 butterflies. Let's get that out of the way. I'm going to get the big shot out now. Let's get those 5 butterflies out of the way and put them down before I lose them. So here is the beast. That is the big shot. I'm going to put my card on there and I'm going to get my circle die. I love these stitch framelit dies because I'll show you what they create. Hopefully you can see that on there. It creates a lovely stitched effect. Now you're not actually going to see this on this particular card, but when you make other cards where you're perhaps putting sentiments and things on circles, those stitch details are gorgeous. So I'm using a magnetic platform and I need that bit downwards. So I am going to lose a little bit of my bird. I could actually put that there and I'm just going to eyeball it and make sure I've got it in the middle. One of these that I made just now just wasn't in the middle. It just looked glaringly obvious it was wrong. I'm going to put that there so I've got my birds in there. I think that's in the middle. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Put my other cutting plate on there. These cutting plates really have been through the mill. Put that through the machine. This is a manual big shot. You can buy electronic ones where you just feed it by the press of a button, feed it through. Right, let's get that out of the way. Let's move that. Okay, so there is my card. Could use that for another project, possibly. I'll have a think about that. That's come out quite well. I've got my bird, and I've got some room in there for a sentiment. Now I've decided to use garden green for my sentiment, but I think I'm going to change my mind to mossy meadow. I think that's a darker green. So I'm just going to reach over to my inks. These are my 3 green inks that I've got: Old Olive, Garden Green and Mossy Meadow, and I think that Mossy Meadow is better. I don't know if I want a sentiment stamped out in it, and I'm going to totally change my mind now and do it in black, just because I don't want to stamp a sentiment in green. I don't know why. Shall I do it in green? We'll do it in black. I changed my mind about 14 times during a project. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. I'm just using Memento here. Line that up in the middle. Try not to get my head in shot. And press that down firmly. I just think the black, I don't think the green would have been right. I don't think I would have been happy with the green. So we've got that, and you could leave that there if you wanted to. You could, you know, absolutely leave that there at that point. It does not matter. But I just want to jazz it up a little bit. And I want to put these butterflies on here. I don't know how many I'm going to put on. Just put on one at a time and decide if that's where you want it to stop, because sometimes, you know, one more butterfly could just be one butterfly too many. I'm going to start with 2. I want to make sure that the wings of my butterflies, or certainly part of the butterfly, goes over the edge of the circle, just to break up that harshness of the circle. So I've got some glue. You could use glue dots, you could use tear and tape. The thing about wet glue, and I've said it so many times before, you've just got that little bit of time to reposition. So I've got that there. And let's put one on this wing here. There's something else I'm going to put on this card as well. And again, that means me reaching over to my embellishment drawer. And I'll show you what I mean. Of all the embellishments that Stampin' Up do, these rhinestones are probably my favourite, because it can just take one small rhinestone just to lift the card a little. And we've got some flowers going on here, and I think I just want to put a couple of rhinestones on there. I just want to find my scissors. So I'm just going to lift up a rhinestone, and I'm going to put one in the middle of that flower there. These rhinestones as well, you could colour if you want to, but for this particular project I'm not going to. There we are. Don't know if you can see that on there. And I think I'm going to, even though I've punched out five butterflies, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. The only thing I will do, I'm just going to curve up that wing there, like that. So there you have it. That sentiment actually comes from the Beautiful Friendship. This is a stamp set. Sorry, my camera's going a bit funny there. This is a stamp set I want to use a bit more of today and just do some stamping with this. Haven't used it too much at the moment. So there we have it. I really hope you've liked this project. You could just mix it up. There are 3 very different cards there, all using the very vanilla card base. This one doesn't have DSP, but we've got some, it's been embossed. You could actually have another layer of cardstock and emboss that and have a border around that. You could use the Butterfly Gala stamp set and stamp the butterflies before you punch them out, or you can just have them very plain. This one is using some more detailed DSP with a little bit of glimmer. And this one a darker DSP. Not everybody likes flowers and leafy things and pretty things, but people might like a bit of glimmer on a much darker DSP. So 3 quite different cards there. I hope you like those and might think about giving it a go. Please hit the subscribe button and I'll come along with another video really soon. See you soon. Bye bye.